Are you constantly putting off creative projects because you feel like you have no structure? Are you full of ideas but you never actually follow through with them? Do you feel it's taboo to talk about your creative ideas because you haven't finished any yet? Does it feel like everyone else is creating stuff and you are just consuming? Today, you're going to get your act together. You are going to take a risk on the most important investment of your life, yourself. You're going to show up for yourself and your future, and I'm going to show you how. First of all, hello, I'm Ashley. Welcome to my video. I make content mostly about web design, graphic design, and entrepreneurship. So if you like that kind of content, please check out my channel and please like this video. It helps me so much. But today I'm going to show you how to stay consistently creative with actual actionable steps. This is not strictly for designers. It can be for any kind of creative person or anyone who wants to be a creative entrepreneur and chase your dreams a little bit. This is just the structure that I use and I wanted to share it because a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know are currently in design school. I wanted to make a resource that I wish I had when I was in school. Providing structure for yourself outside of school, outside of an establishment, outside of work or a company or deadlines is very hard to do. It takes time and commitment, but I think that with some tools it can be easier and more fun. A little bit about me and my background. I've been in a creative field for over 5 years now. I worked for a lot of different kinds of companies, and throughout my journey I've learned a lot about the importance of practice and consistency and investing in your own ideas and trusting your creative vision and all of the opportunities that come with that. The time that you spend perfecting your creative craft, the more it'll pay off for you in the long run. I've seen a lot of videos about being creative, but I feel like none of them have a kind of structure or guideline. And so I just wanted to show you my structure. I've been sharing my work online and doing content creation for about 2 months now. Another reason why I wanted to make this is because it is summertime, and when I was in design school during the summers, I would not even touch my laptop. I was so burnt out from the assignments that I had to do throughout the school year that I didn't even want to work on personal projects. And that kind of laid a foundation for some not so healthy design habits that I have spent a long time trying to overcome. But it is also summertime and it's your time off. And of course, time spent away from the computer is just as important as time spent in front of the computer or your creative craft. So please do not overload yourself after you watch this video. I feel like talking about actionable steps in creativity is going to get you feeling very excited, which is awesome. Never lose sight of that passion. But also, my best advice for you is to start slow. Let it be fun. Let it be a hobby. Go outside. I actually wrote this script for this video while I was sitting by the pool. Take your craft outside as much as you can. A very, very helpful resource that is also free is Notion. And you can make your own template in Notion for creative tasks, or you can use one that I'm going to show you that I use here. You can find this Notion template in the description below and use it for yourself. And I'm going to show you how I use it, how I optimize my workflow, and how you can do it too. Okay, hello. I'm going to show you how I organize my creative tasks. I'm in Notion. This is my Notion template that I made for you. I made it just for you, but you can also make your own. Notion is very easy to use. I think of it as almost a virtual journal with creative pursuits. You can talk all you want to talk about what you want to do, but if you set aside a time and a place to do them, that is how you go from a sayer to a doer. The most important thing is to be hyper specific about the time, the place, and where you're going to do them. If you do not have this structure for yourself, again, it's going to fall through the cracks. The difference between saying versus doing is as simple as this. For example, you're saying, I want to start a podcast. This is the sayer. The doer is someone who is going to say, I'm gonna start a podcast on Monday at 3 p.m. for 30 minutes. I'm going to go to a coffee shop, buy myself a beverage, and I'm going to brainstorm my first topic or brainstorm my name. Tuesday, I'm going to write a script at a different coffee shop. The time, place, and what you're gonna do should be extremely specific because that's how you figure out your workflow. That's how you figure out your processes. But anyways, I'm gonna show you how to make those tasks and how I do them. You can change the cover. They have a lot of different resources from the public domain that you can use as your background. Customize this as much as possible because the more you customize it, the more you make it feel like you're gonna get kind of like a dopamine. I get dopamine from changing the status from not started to in progress. I get even more of a rush when I complete a project. But anyways, this is going to be somewhere where you are going to be visiting often, so make it your home. These are just filler examples just so you can see the different options here, so I'm going to leave those there. I'm going to make a new item and we're going to write brainstorm podcast names. Something that makes me feel good and just makes me have more fun is if I add an emoji to this. And you can even open this task and write a comment in here. Write down the time and place. You can put whatever comments you want to put in here. I wish that Notion had like a time blocker calendar. I don't think they do. If they do, let me know. Today's the 27th when I'm filming this, but I'm gonna hopefully post this video on Monday, so I'm just gonna put on Monday. And you can also put the time. You can hit include time, and then you can say Monday at 3 p.m. for 1 hour, and this is brainstorming. And you can scroll over. You're not going to post this on social media. Some of the steps you're not going to post on social media, but when you do, you can check that. What I really like about Notion is they give you different options to put the same task. So here we have your not started task, your in progress task, and your completed tasks. There's also a calendar view, so you can see this day at 3 p.m. I'm going to do this for a certain amount of hours. And then this chart is another just dopamine type of thing where it just feels really good to look at the things you've done. And you don't have to sit at your laptop and do this. I have also the Notion app on my phone, and I look at the Notion app sometimes when I'm just on the couch, and it makes me feel good, and I'll update my tasks and I'll plan some tasks. What you can do from here, and this is a little bit tedious, but you can open your Google Calendar and actually put that time into your Google Calendar so it will come up on your phone calendar as well. Another really helpful tip on your process, and again, for the third time I think I'm mentioning this, you're gonna get excited. You're gonna want to plan out something to do every day of the week. Don't plan out too many tasks ahead of time, because if you do, you're going to realize that you need more steps than you thought, or less steps than you thought. So if you plan it too far in advance, you're gonna feel a little bit stressed out. You're gonna feel behind, and then you're not gonna want to do it anymore. Your first step that you make should be plan out the next 3 days. Plan out 2 tasks for the next 3 days. You should break up your process into as many small sections as you can. One, it's gonna make you feel good when you check it off as complete. It's all about tricking yourself into making this fun. Breaking up your tasks into super small tasks is how you're going to refine your process. Another example of this is if you're a designer, you want to make a poster. The first step that you should make is research dimensions, making a mood board, picking a color palette, picking fonts, gathering any images, sketching your layout if you do that. I don't always do that. Organizing your files beforehand. That could even be your first step, is organizing a file. I feel like people always say that you have to wait for creativity to strike, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that especially in creative fields, you're going to have to force yourself to create when you don't feel like creating. I think I've made some of my favorite things just when I force myself to create something. Make this very low stake. If you make this very high stakes, you're going to be in that same cycle of never finishing a creative project. So push yourself to finish a project. At the end of every one of your projects, you should make yourself a task to reflect on your process. And you can put those notes directly into your Notion. Really make this your own. Download this template. I'll link it in the description. I think I'm either going to have it just as a link in the description or through my website. So look at the description. Go down there, and while you're down there, leave me a comment and tell me what your first project is going to be if you're doing this. I am also going to paint my nails while I'm doing this because I've been wanting to paint my nails. Anyways, now that you have a little bit of structure, another helpful step, and this is 100% optional because not everybody has this kind of resource, don't let it hold you back if you don't, an accountability partner. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's a partner, someone that will hold you accountable to start doing your creative tasks. Obviously, it's not going to work if you are constantly trying to make sure every step of the way that you're holding each other accountable. This person should also be another fellow creative person that you're friends with. I feel like a lot of creative people have creative friends, so send this video to your friend as well and text them and say, let's get our shit together. Together with a heart. Yeah, so it should be a friend, someone that you trust, because it is somebody that you're going to be sharing your personal creative projects with, and that can feel very vulnerable. You are both going to have to make a commitment before you do this to kind of put your egos aside, because with creative projects, they're going to be shared. Ideas are going to be taken from each other, but I think that you should not see it as somebody taking stuff from you, but a collaboration. Obviously, you are not going to want this person to have to message you every time that you have a time blocked out for a creative project, but instead you should plan a presentation or something every 2 weeks, once a month, and it should be in person or a video call, and you should present a creative project to them. And it doesn't have to be huge, it can just be a poster, it can just be a drawing, it can be an illustration, it can be, I'm thinking about this because my sister is very creative in her own way and she crochets a lot, and so it can be a crochet project, it can be a painting, it could be a video. You should have kind of a presentation to them. I think this helps you articulate your creative ideas more and talk about the strategy behind it, and that is ultimately going to help you in the long run as well, pitching ideas. But again, this should be someone that you trust, someone that you feel like you can collaborate and trust with your creative ideas, and someone who is just as much a giver rather than a taker. And again, putting egos aside in the creative process is very important. I don't think feedback is 100% necessary for personal projects, because I think that you should never restrict yourself based on somebody else's imagination. Unless it is a technical thing, I don't think feedback is always the best thing in the world. I feel like that's kind of a controversial take. Obviously, feedback is how you improve. Sometimes I think it can be very restricting, and I think that even design principles can be broken. Not everyone's going to understand your ideas, so I don't think feedback is 100% necessary in this situation, is what I'm trying to say. Rules are meant to be broken. Obviously, it's important to know the rules to break them, but you should set expectations for each other, because just like a creative pursuit, if it has no structure, it's more than likely going to fall through the cracks. Set expectations for each other and make a commitment to meet those expectations for yourself and for each other. A good example of what structure can look like in this collaboration, writing questions that you would have for an audience, and that can just be, what do you think of this color? I was not sure about this color. I'm always messaging my best friend and asking her which version of the same thing is better. Even if it's just a slightly different layout, I feel like she's someone that understands that can make a difference. Give each other questions. I have a lot of long distance friendships, so that presentation can be over a FaceTime call. If you can meet up in person in a coffee shop, that is even better. My third step is to share your work online. Create a Pinterest account, or create an account on a platform like Pinterest. There's so many platforms. I know Pinterest is kind of controversial. Now, this might scare a lot of people, but hear me out. You can use Arena. There's also Dribble and Behance. But I think Pinterest is a good tool because it really teaches you about patience when it comes to social media. And I think that's something that is very hard, because social media is so in your face all the time, very quick with like micro trends. This is really hard to paint with my left hand. I really like that Pinterest will give you analytics based on your overall monthly viewer. It made me feel more confident in the early stages of me sharing my stuff. It really taught me that creating social media and marketing yourself and creative pursuits are very much a building. Pinterest also feels very low stakes, and I think that's why it's a really good first social media platform to create for yourself. I think that there's a lot of hurdles in making a social media presence. Like, for example, I know even making a username can feel so daunting. You can change your name, you don't have to put pictures of yourself. It feels like a lot of the pressure is kind of off of you because it's also not sending you live notifications, for example. My nails are done. I hope that this inspired you and this helped you. I hope this motivated you to chase your dreams, but also to set some goals. I don't remember where I heard this, it might have been online, but a goal without steps in place is just a wish. If you make a Pinterest account, please follow me. I always link my Pinterest in the description. I have a fairly small following on Pinterest, so if you follow me on there, I will look at your stuff and I want to see it. I want to see your beautiful creative mind at work. And again, please like this and leave a comment. Somebody commented about my posters in the back, and I just love reading the comments. It also helps me grow my channel. And that's it. I'll see you soon. Go create something and take a risk on yourself. Bye.